Hello and welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the Thames Valley. The Newbury care home threatened with closure. Families of residents fear their loved ones who suffer with dementia could be moved miles away.
If the home closed, they would have to rehome him, and that would be catastrophic. He will suffer, his care will suffer.
Calls for the crane driver who rescued a colleague from a burning rooftop in Reading to be recognised as the local MP demands an investigation.
Also this evening, the decline of the Dormouse. We take a look at the conservation work being done to protect the vulnerable species.
And the art exhibition hoping to give visitors to Salisbury Cathedral something to think about. Good evening. The families of elderly and vulnerable people living in a care home in Newbury say plans to close the home will destroy their quality of life.
West Berkshire Council is considering closing Willow's Edge Care Home, which cares for dementia patients, as part of a range of cost-cutting measures.
Families say they have no idea where their loved ones will go. Mike Pearce has been talking to them and the council.
Nancy and her family are one of many who could be affected by cuts at West Berkshire Council. Her father has lived in the Willow's Edge care home for 3 years that could now close or be sold to save money. It treats up to 38 patients with dementia.
If the home closed, they would have to rehome him, and that would be catastrophic to him because he will suffer, his care will suffer. Dementia patients, it's not recommended that they move, you can't move them. He'd probably get more confused because he wouldn't recognise the staff anymore. You lose loss of appetite, loss of sleep, and he would just get more confused. Him and all the other dementia patients there. You can't move it. He needs to stay.
Peter's mum, Dorothy, is another facing an uncertain future in the care home. A protest petition has already 2,000 signatures. The council say they need to save £14 million because of high inflation and the lack of an increase in the money it gets from the government.
I just can't believe how the council and whatever can close places like this. They've got dementia. The people who are here, like my mum is 91, I think she's given enough to everybody. In around Newbury area and whatever, and all the other people are. And I think it was going to be so upsetting to actually see it close.
The council will start a consultation next week on the closure or transferring ownership of the home. The option means it won't have to fund a costly upgrade of the property. Relatives of those in the care home say it's desperately needed and it would just be awful if it were to close. How can you justify even looking at it?
The home itself needs significant investment, about £500,000 in the next year or two. And also it costs us a larger sum of money to place someone there than in the private sector. So it costs about £400 more than placing someone in a privately run care home.
Moving from a home like that could have a detrimental impact on their health.
Well, yes, that's true. And what we're going to do is to try and minimise the effect, because if we can move people to the Birchwood care home, which is only a short distance away, then that would hopefully minimise that kind of impact.
Don't close the care home, keep it open. You need to understand and do more research on the impact of this closure on dementia patients and on their families.
West Berkshire is just one of a number of local authorities in the Thames Valley who say they're being forced to make cutbacks. Others include the Royal Borough of Windsor and Maidenhead, Bracknell Forest and Wokingham. The impact could be on many thousands of residents, with councils saying they simply have no other option. Mike Pearce, ITV News, Newbury.
A woman has been raped at a park in Newbury. The victim, who was in her 40s, was attacked in Victoria Park at some point between Wednesday night and the early hours of Thursday. She's currently being supported by officers. A police presence remains at the scene, and officers are asking anyone who is in the area or may have information to get in touch.
A Hampshire police officer has been sacked for violently scratching and biting a woman at a nightclub in Winchester. A disciplinary hearing was told PC Liam Richards behaved aggressively and without consent towards a woman in October 2021. Richards has been dismissed without notice and has been barred from serving as an officer again.
Extra support is being provided for rough sleepers in Oxford as temperatures plummet. Emergency beds are being offered over the weekend. The Met Office is forecasting freezing temperatures on Friday and Saturday night. The council has secured a minimum of 36 bed spaces in the city.
Reading East MP Matt Rodder has written to the Health and Safety Executive calling for an investigation into the serious fire yesterday at a town centre construction site. He wants the management to be scrutinised.
More than 50 firefighters were sent to tackle the blaze at the Station Hill development yesterday, which saw 2 workers rescued by crane.
Well, Mel Blore is at the scene this evening. Mel, you've seen the letter written by Mr Rodder?
I have. I've got it here. It's addressed to Sarah Albon, the HSE's chief executive. And in the letter, Matt Rodder explains how one worker had a very lucky escape after being hoisted from the top of the tower block by a crane just seconds before he was about to be engulfed in smoke and flames. And as this is the second fire at the site in just 5 minutes, Mr Rodder says he's concerned that there may be a more widespread failure of health and safety. Meanwhile, the fire service has thanked the crane operator who sprung into action during the fire. 65-year-old Glenn Edwards has described how hard it was to see and how colleagues on the ground had to tell him when the worker was safely in the cage.
I think what's not immediately obvious from the footage is actually how that crane operator couldn't see really what he was trying to do. I think there was the building and the line of sight of that building stopped him being able to see where he was trying to put that cage down. He was being guided, as I understand, by 2 colleagues on the ground via radio. So fantastic team effort, amazing skills, I have to say, and you know, we're very impressed and clearly very grateful.
Well, the fire service has now left the scene and all the cordons here have been removed. The site's been taken back over by the company in charge of the development. That's Sir Robert McAlpine, who say a thorough investigation is now underway.
Mel Blore, thank you.
Next tonight, we've seen them in hotel rooms and bedrooms, and now it's feared bed bugs could be getting into our cars and even onto public transport.
A pest controller from Wallingford says the rise in the critters has meant that by August this year, he'd done as much as he usually would do in 12 months. But are we panicking for no reason? Our reporter Raheem Rashid has been finding out.
The bite of a bedbug is something we've all come to fear a bit more in recent weeks, with their spread being documented in cars and on public transport. In Wallingford, pest controllers say it's all too easy for them to spread in places like taxis and buses.
They get on to public transport by people, we call them super spreaders. They go and get on a bus with them, taking them from home, sit down, go somewhere, get off. Unfortunately, they leave them behind. And remember, it takes just one pregnant bedbug for you to then sit down on your way to work, on the way to the office, and it climbs onto you and into your bag. You don't know about it, and unfortunately, you take it home, and then you've got the problem, and it grows from there.
The British Pest Control Association says bedbugs aren't a new problem on public transport.
They've, I say, always been there. There's always been odd bits, whether it's aeroplanes or trains, taxi cabs, lorries that are on the road, you know, people who sleep in their cabs, things like that. Yeah, again, where human beings are, bedbugs will be.
So is there genuine concern, or is this just a ploy by pest control companies to get a bit more money?
There definitely is a concern. There really is an issue. There always has been. There's nothing different over the last 50 years. There always has been an issue. It's definitely going to become more of a problem, and it's important that you deal with it as soon as you notice anything, because the larger the infestation, the harder it is to deal with.
If a small, localised number of bedbugs do manage to find a home in your vehicle, to get rid of them, you're advised to use chemical sprays that specifically target bedbugs, though only using as little as possible. Carefully vacuum the entire space, especially under the mats and seats, and use heat treatments as the bugs can't survive in temperatures above 52 degrees. Vehicles like taxis may need to be professionally wrapped and blasted with heat if they're thought to have an infestation, with pest controllers recommending we check hotspot areas on public transport.
So what would you see if you're about to sit down on a seat on a bus? What's the kind of thing you'd recommend we do? Where would we see the most?
I would really recommend that just before we're sitting down, we're checking what's going on. Have we seen any blood spots, any fecal markings, any eggs? They might be on the top of this headrest, on the back of the headrest. These seams up here, very, very nice for a bedbug to live. We check the seat of the actual vehicle. We check underneath the mats.
Do you find them in mats often?
So it's not the most common area because the carbon dioxide source is most heavy up this end where the driver or the passenger is breathing. That's the most common area. But down here, absolutely, they can live anywhere. So we would check underneath the mats. We'd go underneath the pedals, have a look in there, give them a hoover, take away any evidence.
While experts caution we shouldn't panic about bedbugs being on public transport, they do say a quick check of a seat can save us a whole world of bother from a bedbug. Raheem Rashid, ITV News.
You're watching ITV News Meridian in the Thames Valley. Coming up,
we catch up with the former Brighton footy favourite, lending his support to a completely different game.
And this autumn is currently on course to be the mildest on record, but this last week of November could change everything. Join me in the studio to find out more.
Yeah, big news in a few moments. And if you find more on today's top stories, head to our website, itv.com/Meridian. Call us 0808 1010 095 or follow us on social media.
Now, Britain's native hazel dormouse population has declined by 70% since the turn of the century, according to a new report. Habitat loss and a changing climate are among the reasons for the species' fall in numbers.
Well, dormice are currently classified as vulnerable species in this country, but there are now calls to classify them as endangered because numbers have dropped so significantly. Kevin Ashford has our report.
Does she feel quite heavy?
She's quite fat.
It's an increasingly rare sight in this country, a hazel dormouse. This one is in a state of torpor. It's the way the creatures have of conserving energy. It had taken up residence in a nesting box put up by a group of wildlife enthusiasts who are trying to help the creatures and find out more about them.
Why put the boxes up? It gives them nesting opportunities, really, where they like to nest in holes and thick brambles and things. This is an extra addition for them. And it's a way that we can actually examine them by finding them in a box and put them in the bag and examine them close up. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to get near them. They're living up on top of the trees, that big, come out at night, they're very hard to study.
Oh, there we are.
There we are.
And dormice need all the help they can get. According to latest research, the dormouse population across the country has fallen by 70% since the beginning of the century. And although the creatures occur naturally in parts of the south, such as Hampshire, Dorset and Sussex, and populations here are relatively stable, it is still a species in decline. And experts say numbers need to be carefully monitored to get a fuller picture. The Wildlife Trust in Berkshire, Buckinghamshire and Oxfordshire says the decline is due to a number of factors.
Some of it is that our woodlands have become more and more isolated, so we know that the UK is one of the least populated countries in Europe for woodland. So woodland connectivity in a wider landscape is important. Managing woodlands is important, so we can't just allow the trees to grow and sort themselves out. We know that for dormice in particular, they need that constant management. And we also know that climate change is having a negative impact.
Now, currently, as a species, dormice are considered vulnerable in this country, but a report that's just been published says the situation is so dire they should actually be reclassified as endangered. Now, this is a species that most people are never going to see because they are quite elusive. What's so important about dormice?
Hazel dormice feed on different fruits and they are a flagship species really for us, because if the habitat's not good for dormice, it means it's probably a failing habitat. And a woodland that's supporting a good hazel dormouse population is probably also supporting good woodland bird populations and other species as well.
It's hoped monitoring work like this, carried out by licensed volunteers, will help build up a better understanding of the plight faced by hazel dormice and encourage action to protect their numbers before it's too late. Kevin Ashford, ITV News.
He looked quite happy, didn't he?
Yeah,
Very
lovely.
cute.
Save the hazel dormouse. OK, the ITV Evening News continues with the national and international news at 6:30. Here's Charlene White.
Coming up, we'll have the latest as hostages are released from Gaza. They include Israeli and Thai nationals. 34 arrests in Dublin after a night of violence saw police cars, buses and trams set on fire. We'll be live in the city. And bringing water back to Wicker Fen to create a wetland for wildfowl. Join us for those stories and more from 6:30.
Charlene, thank you. But first, all the sport with Sarah Gom.
Thank you, Stacey. Well, all of our football teams are back in action this weekend following the international break. More on those fixtures in a moment. First, though, it was a record-breaking night at St Mary's yesterday, where a record crowd of 13,438 watched Southampton women take on Arsenal in the Continental Cup. Before the Gunners struck a late winner, Saints had taken the lead through Molly Pike.
It was an unbelievable feeling. Like, as a young girl, you always dream of scoring against a big crowd, and a goal like that, yeah, just amazing. Really, I'm lost for words.
To tomorrow's fixtures now, and in the Premier League, both Brighton and Bournemouth restart their campaigns away from home. Southampton and Oxford are also on the road. Portsmouth host Blackpool, and Reading have a short trip to Wickham. In League Two, both Crawley and Swindon are at home. Now, a former Brighton favourite has today lent his support to a local hero in an entirely different game, winning a national award for his work in making the sport at his club accessible to all. Andy Dickinson reports.
Zero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
Sporting giants were ping-ponging around Brighton Table Tennis Club this morning. Will Bailey, current European champion, Jack Hunter-Spivey, Commonwealth Games gold medalist, and former Brighton and Hove Albion striker Bobby Zamora, presenting the club's founder with a national award for the impact it's having.
Yeah, it's amazing, amazing for the club. 500 people through the doors of this club every week. Over 1,000 people involved in our outreach sessions in prisons, psychiatric hospital, homeless shelters, schools. You know, table tennis is everywhere, and it's a force for good.
It's the most welcoming place I've ever been to, and we want to win things. You know, we want to be the best club in England. We want to be the best club in the world. So it's not just about, you know, getting everyone in. We want to perform. We want to win, and we want to take these players and make them superstars, make them top world-class players.
What they do here is not just elite performance with some of the best players in the world, but they also give a sense of purpose to a lot of kids in difficult situations. And I think the ethos of the club is something that really resonates with me. And yeah, I'm just amazed to be a part of it myself. I'm truly honoured to be here.
Well, they say that table tennis is good for your physical and mental health, but what could be better than playing it while interviewing Albion legend Bobby Zamora? Bobby, how do you feel about the team playing in Europe this season?
Yeah, it's what we've probably been dreaming of for a long time. I don't even know if dreaming would come down to it, to be honest. I don't know if we've dreamt that far. What was it, 20 years ago probably, if you'd have said to anyone you'd be playing at Ajax and winning, is certainly a good distraction. Thoroughly enjoying it as well.
And do you think it's affecting them domestically with their league form?
It is a little bit. Obviously there's injuries and there's new players and players sold. You can go a few games in the Premier League, we're not winning, but if you're picking up those European wins, it's not all doom and gloom.
And just yet, how would you describe the impact Tim and this table tennis club are having?
Tim's done an amazing job. Just the amount of people that he's touched, the lives that he's helped, whether it's children in foster care or refugees. There are children here that are going to be in the Olympics and the Paralympics, which is remarkable really. So hats off to Tim, and this award is fully deserved.
18 years in the making, this club not just bringing a community together, but now looking to make a stellar smash. Andy Dickinson, ITV News, Brighton.
Yes, very well deserved indeed, and some good skills there from our reporter Andy. Well done to him as well. 2 women from Brighton are among the UK's most inspirational female cyclists, according to the charity Cycling UK. Cycling coach and Sustrans volunteer Alison Lewis and founder of Brighton Multicultural Women's Cycle Club Cicely Lloyd have been recognised for their work encouraging other women to get on their bikes. And finally to cricket, because the fixtures for next season have been released this week. Hampshire, who finished 3rd in the county championship last season, begin with a long trip to newly promoted Durham, while the Southern Vipers would love to do the double-double, having won both the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy and the Charlotte Edwards Cup last time out.
It's fine margins. We've struggled at the Oval in the last few years, and Surrey obviously being a team that we know are going to be up there at the back end. That's one result. If we can go and get a decent result at the Oval and sort of replicate what we're doing in other matches, close that gap a tiny bit on them. So that's one that we're really keen to put right.
Every team's getting better in this women's competition now, and I think we can't expect to go and win every single game. Of course, we'd love to do that, but I think one of the main learnings is we know that we can come back, we fight to the end, and when it matters, we show that we can perform under pressure, which is really important, and teams are going to be coming at us. We've won both trophies last year, they're going to be coming for us hard, so every game's going to be a battle, that's for sure.
Yes, it was a great season. Let's hope for more of the same next year.
Thanks, that was so good to see Tim winning that award. He's doing such amazing work, isn't he?
Giving so many opportunities to so many individuals. It's great stuff.
And we'll follow to see if he produces any more champions.
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah. Now, migration and climate change are 2 issues which have been high on the political agenda this year, and now a new art exhibition exploring both issues is being installed at Salisbury Cathedral.
Colourful banners depict items recovered from migrant shipwrecks in the Mediterranean Sea, and the curator hopes the paintings and other items will be thought-provoking for visitors.
We are hosting an exhibition by artist Shazad Darwood. The exhibition is called Leviathan, and it is positioned all around the cathedral so people can explore and find the artworks as they enjoy their exploration of the cathedral itself. As people enter the cathedral, they will see 9 hanging paintings going down the nave, each of which is a painting of an object that once belonged to a person who made a migrant crossing along the Lampedusa Strait. Some of them are really poignant. The first object you will see is a student card, and it makes me think of people at that time in their lives where they're making these decisions about their future, and this particular person has made a very perilous decision to make that crossing. In our chapter house, directly across from where we have Magna Carta at Salisbury Cathedral, we have this large sculpture which is called Where Do We Go Now? The people on the boat have been given a sort of a modern interpretation. So when you look closely, you'll see that they're wearing goggles and masks and things that are contemporary. So even though Jonathan Swift's tale was many years ago, it sort of resonates today.
It's very easy to think about Christmas, about happiness and tinsel. We know for some people it's quite a challenging time, but actually at the heart of the Christmas story as it's told in the Bible is about God coming into the everyday messiness and at times tragedy of the world and transforming it.
So beautiful, isn't it?
It really is. And that exhibition runs until the 4th of February.
Well, another community in Hampshire has come together to kick off the festive season.
Alresford is known for its spectacular steam illuminations train on the Watercress line. And to mark the arrival, a special parade takes place through the town streets. We sent our reporter Cara Digby to capture the celebrations.
Well, it looks like the whole town has turned out tonight to be here for its first ever lantern parade. There's around 300, I've been told. We've got a steam engine, we've got stars, snowflakes, snowmen, anything you can think of, it's probably here. Now, they've all been made by school children, care homes, businesses, family and friends, all want to take part in this special event. And earlier, I spoke to the organiser about why it's so special.
Something that attracts people of all ages and backgrounds is a lantern procession. So I thought it'd be a wonderful thing to bring all the community to and have a really exciting evening at the Watercress Line. It's the start of the Christmas season, the festive period. It's a nice way to get everybody together. The children are full of excitement, and we have a wonderful evening prepared for them all.
Well, I've just stopped to talk to a couple taking part. This is Malcolm and Amy with your family here. Thanks for joining us. Tell us, how long did this lantern take to make?
Took about 2 or 3 days to make. My daughter and granddaughter helped to make it, and yeah, it's lots of fun.
Lovely. And why did you decide to take part tonight?
Well, it's just a lovely thing to be done, part of the community. Look at all, to see everyone's efforts and everything. So yeah, no, it's really, really good.
Lovely, thank you very much.
Okay.
And thank you for talking to me, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
No problem, thank you.
Well, you might be wondering why a lantern parade. Well, that's to celebrate the launch of the Watercress Line's Steam Illuminations train this year. It started back in 2020, where the carriages are adorned with thousands of lights inside and out, 14,000 to be exact, and they're all synchronised to music. Christmas music, of course. Well, the train will be taking trips between here and Alton until January the 6th. Well, it's clear to see here that the festive season has begun.
Oh, amazing. It really is starting to feel a bit Christmassy. Holly joins us now. Is the weather becoming a bit Christmassy?
You're ever hopeful, aren't you?
I'm always hopeful.
Do you know, we have had what is so far gearing up, as I said just now, for the mildest autumn on record. And it's not until this last few days, really, of November that we're finally seeing something a bit colder. Not desperately cold, but just something colder than we've grown used to, because yes, we haven't seen much of that this autumn. What we have seen a lot of this autumn is berries. We heard earlier in the week there's been an abundance of hawthorn berries, and this is something our viewers have really noticed. I've had lots of photos of berries coming in, so let's take a quick look at some of them. So Robin here, surrounded by a feast of berries here, snapped by Judy Hewitt. He looks very happy, doesn't he? And I think this would please him too. Look at those. Kaz Jane spotted these. Pyrocanthus, we've got hollies, we've got rowan berries at the moment out in force as well, and even the lovely beautyberry photoed here by Roy Venkatesh in Basingstoke. And there is an old wives' tale that says when you get an abundance of berries, it's nature gearing up to feed the wildlife ahead of a cold, harsh winter.
Is it true?
Yeah, that's the big question. Is it true? Are we in for a really harsh winter?
No, it's not. It's not true in the sense that, so nature reflects, it doesn't forecast the weather. So these berries are much more likely due to the wet weather we had back in summer. Whether we'll get a cold, harsh winter, of course, that is a very different question, and the answer is we might have one, but it's just too soon to tell.
But we might not.
And we might not, exactly that. Not to hedge my bets or anything. In the shorter term, it is going to feel colder this weekend, as I say. I think tonight will be the first widespread frost we've seen so far this season, and I think it will just feel chilly in general, even though tomorrow will be lovely and bright. And then towards the tail end of next week, there are some signs we could start to see something a bit wintry. A small risk at this stage, a small risk, but we will obviously keep you up to date. But yes, we are entering the season of gloves and hats and scarves.
Whatever the weather, it always feels like home. Valent Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV Meridian Weather.
Yes, a spell of cold weather to come. Frosty for tonight. Tomorrow, lovely and bright, lots of sunshine, and then go downhill through the course of Sunday. Outbreaks of rain move in, and still I think feeling pretty chilly on Sunday as well. High pressure dominates the scene, hence tomorrow's sunshine. Around it, that flow of cold air, and then this weather front heads our way for Sunday, bringing that rain, of course. Out there this evening, starry skies and the breeze dropping a bit lighter, so temperatures falling away across the board. A widespread frost to come. I think many of us, even in towns and cities, falling down to or a little bit below freezing, and the coldest spots could reach maybe -3 to even -5 for the very nippiest locations. So a cold, bright start to our Saturday, lots of sunshine, a lovely crisp, bright sort of a day, and we keep that sunshine throughout. But yes, temperatures will struggle on the thermometers, 5 or 6 degrees, little bit of a breeze there, not too strong, but nonetheless making it feel more like 2 or 3 perhaps. Again, many of us probably looking frosty on Saturday night before conditions go downhill through the course of Sunday, and a chilly feel as well. Take care.
Valent Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV Meridian Weather.
So you heard it here first. The possibility of snow on the way next week. And in a moment...
I'm not exactly sure Holly said that, to be fair.
She's shaking her head, but we can dream, can't we?
Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.
Right.